Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, girls. Today the poem we are discussing is titled as Woman Work, written by the poet Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou is a modern black American poet, and her poem, as is suggested by the title Woman Work, her poem lists the duties that traditionally women perform in their household domain in their lives. The housewives that they the housewives the duties that the housewives perform, and the poem is about those simple duties that a woman performs all her life. So first, as you know, the first objective of our course is to be able to recite the poetry. So as I recite this poem, you girls kindly follow how a poem should be recited, and I'm sure you are great, intelligent, creative girls. You can recite even better than me. I am just presenting the example. So here is the poem. Woman Work. I have got the children to tend, the clothes to mend, the floor to mop, the food to shop, then chicken to fry, the baby to dry. I got company to feed, the garden to weed. I've got the shirts to press, the tots to dress, the cane to be cut. I got to clean up this hut. So after these two parts, there is a break in the theme of the poem. So far we have been reading the list of domestic chores that a woman performs, and the next part of the poem begins with shine on me, sunshine, rain on me, rain, fall softly, dewdrops, and cool my brow again. Storm, blow me from here with your fiercest wind. Let me float across the sky till I can rest again. Fall gently, snowflakes, cover me with white, cold, icy kisses, and let me rest tonight. Sun, rain, curving sky, mountain, oceans, leaf and stone, star shine, moon glow, you are all that I can call my own. This is the first reading of the poem, and girls, I would suggest that all of you recite the poem to yourselves. All the poems that we read, you should recite these to yourselves. Enjoy the rhythm, the music in the poem, and as you can notice, as you read the poem, you will notice that there is the simple tone, simple language, and the rhythm is interesting because the poem can be divided in two parts mainly. The first part deals with the duties of a woman that she performs in her lifespan, usually the housewives, the domestic women. Even when they are the working women, they still have to attend to their children. I have got the children to tend. Tend means the first and foremost duty of a woman is as the mother. She has to look after her children. Tend means look after, take care. The clothes to mend, and these are then the list begins. She has to repair her clothes, her children's clothes, take care of her husband's clothes, the floor to mop, the food to shop. So she has to look after the groceries also. She has to clean the floor, then chicken to fry, and once the grocery is done, she has to cook the food to provide for the family, the baby to dry, attend the baby, keep the baby clean. I got company to feed, and then there are the guests also. A woman, a housewife, a mother, a wife is a host also. She has to attend to the guests who come to visit her home. And she has to provide for them also. The garden to weed, and she has to look after the garden. I have got the shirts to press, the the clothes that she has to press, iron, get ready for her family, the tots to dress. And she has not just to press the clothes, she has to dress up her children. Tots are the tiny children, the little ones. She has to dress up the little ones also. The cane to be cut. The cane is the thin bamboo plant. So these are the duties of maybe women living in the African villages. These bamboo plants, canes are plentiful there in the African villages. And Maya Angelou, let me remind you, is a black American poet. But this line reminds the readers of her African heritage. I got to clean up this hut. And again, the repetition. She has to she has to mop the floor in the first part of the poem, and here she reminds again that she has to clean up this hut. And this repetition, girls, you have to notice. You have to remember kindly the poetic devices that the poet uses in the poem. For example, we discussed yesterday the use of similes, metaphors, personification, repetition. These are the examples. We also need to look at alliteration. And alliteration is the repetition of assonance. Let me check kindly, please. Alliteration is the repetition of, yes, alliteration is the repetition of the same consonant sound. And alliteration is usually used for pleasing and for both pleasing and creating memorable rhythm and that memorable rhythm. So whenever we are discussing the use of poetic devices, we have to also show what effect do the devices create. Now, so far we notice that the tone is simple, the language is simple, the imagery is taken from the domestic world. Domain means world, territory, area. So these things we can notice so far in this poem. The simplicity of style, the simplicity of language, imagery taken from the world of home. Then we see a major shift in the poem, because from this list of household chores, the poet starts saying, shine on me, sunshine. So there you will notice a directness, the directness of tone. She directly addresses sunshine. Direct address is to sunshine, and she says, shine on me, sunshine, rain on me, rain. She directly addresses sunshine, rain, dewdrops. She says, fall softly, dewdrops, and cool my brow again. Storm, blow me from here. Next, she addresses storm. So this is also one of the poetic devices, to address. And who is she addressing here in this poem? Not the human beings, not the other people. She is addressing directly to the natural world. She is addressing to sunshine, she is addressing to rain, to dewdrops, to storm. She calls the storm to blow her from there. And she says, with your fiercest wind, the storms, with its fierce means wild, powerful winds, she wants the storm to she says, let me float across the sky till I can rest again. So this is the way she perceives. Perceives means she thinks. She thinks that the best way to rest is to be taken up by the storm and float across the sky. Now, float, you see, float is a word that is used in swimming in water. In the sky, one can fly, not float. So, this is a very complex and interesting word, evocative word. Evocative means it evokes the feelings of both. When she says, let me float across the sky, she wants to evoke the feeling of being both swimming, floating in water, as well as flying in the sky. So these are the images that show the vastness of the poets, the narrators, the speakers' imagination, the vastness of our imagination. You see, the point is that despite being an ordinary woman, an ordinary household woman who is most of the time spending most of the time attending to her children's needs, her family's needs, mopping the floors, cleaning up the hut, then she can directly connect with nature. And she then, in the next part, she says, fall gently, snowflakes, cover me with white, cold, icy kisses, and let me rest tonight. Then she addresses snowflakes and wants them, requests them to cover her with her white, cold, and she uses that word cold in the beginning of the verse. Dear girls, you should notice that these words are important. What the verse of the poem begins with, noticing the opening of the verse is important. Cold, icy kisses. She knows that the snowflakes are going to be cold and icy, yet she calls them kisses. So there, I am reminded of the previous poem that we studied yesterday. The poem was New Year Resolutions, and in that poem, the poet says, "Will lie on nights in the bony arms of reality and be comforted." And in here, woman work, she says, cover me with white, cold, icy kisses and let me rest tonight. You see, I told you yesterday that you will become great analysts of poetry, great analysts, critical thinkers. You girls can become good critical thinkers if you remember this one important point to make connections. So here, every poem, every idea should remind you of another idea which you have read somewhere else. Like I am reminded here, as I read that the poet says, "Cover me with white, cold, icy kisses, and let me rest tonight." I am immediately reminded of these lines here, "Will lie on nights." These lines in the previous poem by Elizabeth Sewell, New Year Resolutions, where she says, "Will lie on nights in the bony arms of reality and be comforted." So the bony arms is a metaphor. Bony means bones, made of bones, which would be hard, which would be tough. And Maya Angelou requests the snowflakes to cover her, which she knows are going to be white. White, is the color of purity, purgation, purity, cleanliness, and transparency, clean, white. So she says that these cold snowflakes will, she knows these snowflakes will be cold and icy, yet she calls the touch of the flakes as kisses. So these cold, icy kisses are the kisses of truth. These cold, icy kisses are the kisses of reality. Just like in the previous poem, Elizabeth Sewell in New Year Resolutions says that she would like to rest in the bony arms of reality and be comforted. That she wants to face the truth. She wants to face the reality. And in this poem, Maya Angelou says that she also wants to be covered with truth, icy kisses of truth. She knows that the truth is hard to face. Yet these two women, in a way, promise to accept the challenge of facing the truth and seek. Seek means find comfort and rest. And yes, find comfort and rest in the truth. And here is one interesting quotation that I would like to share with you. I will text you also in the WhatsApp group. Here is the quotation by Maya Angelou, which is linked with this idea, as I've reminded you to make the connections. So there is one quotation by Maya Angelou where she says, "The greatest gift we give to each other is the telling of the truth." Right? This is by Maya Angelou. I'll share it in the group. She says that the greatest gift we give to each other is the telling of the truth. So that's the point. That's the whole point in poetry. That's the whole point in literature. That literature prepares us to appreciate, to observe, research, search and research, analyze, and accept the truth. The function of literature is to enable the readers come to grips with the harsh, hard, tough realities of life, because writers, poets, they want to teach the readers, teach the world the power of transparency, the power of the purity of heart, the purity of thoughts, the purity of ideas. Why? Because truth is the fact, truth is the power that liberates us from our say fixed ideas or biases or limited vision means when we cannot think outside the box. So the truth is the power that enables the speaker to think outside the box, to accept the other angles of other views, other angles of understanding. And these are the facts of life that can empower the individuals. Real power lies in facing the truths about ourselves, about life around us, about other people. So living in illusions, in false ideas, that kind of mindset in a way disturbs human beings, where there is less than truth. Human nature is molded by Allah Pak. Human nature is made is founded on truth. So it is the society conditions the human beings to accept the falsehood also, to accept the fake things also, the untruths also as truth. But the human soul knows the difference between what is right and what is wrong, which we call the conscience. So the conscience, the voice of the conscience, to wake up the conscience, that's the task of the poets. That's what the poetry accomplishes. Poetry achieves the task of waking up the conscience. And if the conscience is already awake in the readers, then trying to remind them that the real power of human beings lies in their power, in their decision to choose the right thing. So that all this discussion brings us to those very basic ideas that I shared with you in the WhatsApp group, that literature teaches us that truthfulness is the soul of a good, honorable, and a noble life. Truthfulness means love. Where there is love, there will be truth. Where there is truth, there is love. There is no other meaning of love. Or you may say yesterday we discussed love is a vast word and it has a vast scope of meaning. But immediately and without any confusion, directly, the point is that love means truth and truth means love. And these two things combined, truth and love combined, takes human beings on the path of God, on the path of Allah Pak. Allah Pak means truth with capital T. Allah Pak means love. And the point to remember here is truth and love are inseparable. They both go together. Wherever there is less than of a truth, we should remember that whenever we choose something that is not altogether right, absolutely right, that means that we are deviating from the path of truth. And choosing to live a life of love is not an option. Dear girls, living a life of love is not an option. It's compulsory. Our deen, our religion, our Deen-e-Islam teaches us to live a life of love. Living a life of love means, I have told you at other points also, living a life of love means choosing to do the right thing. So these are the difficult decisions, trying to choose the right thing, trying to speak the truth, trying to face the truth, trying to live the truth. These are difficult things. That's why Maya Angelou compares these ideas with cold, icy kisses of snowflakes. And Elizabeth Sewell compares truth and she calls She says as one of her major important New Year resolutions is that she will lie in at night, all the nights, in the bony arms of reality and be comforted. These women teach us that the real power lies in living the truth. And the closing stanza, in a way, reinforces the imagery of nature. You have noticed so far, girls, according to the poetic devices in the poems, you have noticed there is the use of simple language, simple ideas, domestic imagery, and then the domestic imagery, household chores, the list of household chores को मैं कह रही हूँ ना, domestic imagery. That domestic imagery shifts to the natural imagery, and in the natural imagery there are these four stanzas, and this is the last closing fourth stanza where the poet says, sun, rain, curving sky, mountain, oceans, leaf and stone, starshine, moon glow, you are all that I can call my own. So this is her sense of belonging. She knows that she is performing her duty as a as a as a part of nature, that she is performing these duties as a human being, yet she is connected very closely with the world of nature. And I have told you yesterday that in order to evaluate ourselves as living a life of balance and harmony, there are three standards, three initial preliminary आप कह लें primary standards, that a man, if we want to see if we are living a healthy, happy, balanced life, then we need to look at our relationship with ourselves, with nature around us, with other human beings, and all these connections, if they are right, if they are fine, healthy, in balance and harmony, that means we are living a healthy and happy life. And that life will lead us, connect us with God. Humans' relationship with themselves, with nature, with other people, leads them on the path of God, connects them with God on the path of truth and on the path of love. So this is how she closes the poem, and she calls all these natural elements, all this natural phenomena, her own. She says, you are all that I can call my own. And here the poem ends, and the questions are there at the end of the poem where it is asked, write a character sketch of the woman depicted in the poem. Is an idealization of some sort necessary for our survival? As sane human beings, the poem has been composed in rhyming lines. However, the poet inserts a line here and there which disturbs the rhyming pattern. Do you think it jolts the reader to stop and ponder and share the woman's feelings of boredom? Ennui means boredom, born out of mechanical routine, and yearning for a breath of fresh air. So there are a few questions. You can write these answers in your homework. Write a character sketch of a woman depicted in the poem. And again, you can connect this poem with yourselves. You being the girls, being the women of tomorrow, you can also associate yourselves. You can form a question कि how far you can relate with this poem. You can write the answer to this question, that how far can you, the girls, relate with this poem. Okay, we stop here, and the next poem that we have to study is, let me check, the next poem is Patriot into Traitor. So in the next part we'll discuss Patriot into Traitor by Robert Browning. It's a monologue. So you go through that poem and we'll read it together, we'll discuss it together. Thank you very much.